Welcome to the Ingress Insights podcast, hosted by PkmnTrainerJ. Ingress Insights is a podcast about the Niantic game Ingress. Listen each week for the latest news, updates and rumours. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a voice message or emailing us at the links in the show notes.
Additional intel available.
Hello agents, and welcome to the 89th episode of the Ingress Insights podcast. This week we'll be going through the recent previous lore drops that we've had for the Cryptic Memories and Buried Memories Anomaly seasons. And then we'll also be looking ahead at April, because that's not far away, and seeing what may be up next for the Plus Theta Anomaly series. We are still within the Plus Alpha season, but as we've no Plus Alpha news because the last anomaly has concluded, I'll be going through the lore drops we've had for Cryptic Memories and Buried Memories in the Anomaly section. I'll do that next.
This is Shimon, former community manager for the Witcher Monster Slayer, and you're listening to Ingress Insights.
When I last recorded, we'd had some lore drops up to Cryptic 04. As I'm recording now, we have up to Buried 02. I suspect we'll get to Buried 08 and then carry on from there. So I'll start with Cryptic 05 as the next one to go through. This is Cryptic 05, so it's extraction from recovered audio. The target is Dr. Kiritsuka. Subject observations post-dimensional shift. Classification restricted. This is Akira Entry 1. Arrival successful. Experiment confirmed. The dimensional bridging technology works. The dimensional shift activated portals in ways I hoped and ways I never expected. Portal resonance readings are off the charts, beyond even my most optimistic projections. This reinforces what we suspected. XM portals can carry more than just signals across the bridge. This discovery alone could redefine everything we know and change how we interact with the physical universe. But it's not all good news. Something went wrong. Something's wrong with Devra. She seems stable physically, but cognitively, I don't know. She had to be hospitalised. I didn't want to risk the exposure, so I ran. So now we're separated, and she's somewhere else, possibly hurt. I don't know where they took her. Have to find her as soon as it's safe. She trusts me with this, trusts me to bring us through. I can't leave her alone, not like this. Akira here, second entry. There's a pattern emerging that's one I didn't anticipate. The Machina phenomenon's presence here is strange. I know Machina, I've seen it propagate in countless portals before in my origin dimension, but here, the only Machina instances in near portals I've directly interacted with. It's like it's shadowing me, reacting to me. Why is it that Machina's reach here is limited to my proximity? I came here tracking Machina, but it feels like it's been dormant in this dimension, barely present until I arrived. Did I bring it with me, or awaken something lying beneath the surface? This should be a dimension where Machina thrives, and yet it's constrained. Every step here feels heavier. Machina only appears around my activities, following my every move. It's unsettling. I remember a story from Hank, a legend really, since all Hank stories are ultimately about some myth or another, about artifact with properties that contained and redirected XM. Some believed it could control or reactivate dormant manifestations of XM. He always warned of XM's reactive nature, that it doesn't simply passively exist, but responds to the intentions of those who interact with it. Did I overlook something critical? Am I still overlooking something? I started this with noble intentions, a vision of bridging dimensions, expanding human understanding, maybe even saving humanity from itself. But now, with each portal that warps and each anomaly that spreads, I find myself wondering, what if this time I went too far? End of notes. Then straight into Cryptic 06. Hank Johnson's research shell subject artifact redacted and its counterpart. It shows the glyph sequence for Death Balance Life from the previous note that he'd made. Artifact overview. There's something about this artifact that stirs the air around it. I've seen many relics in my time, held piece of ancient civilizations that hummed with stories long forgotten, but this feels alive. Not in a way of a living thing, but in its purpose, like so we can feel something older than memory itself. This artifact, let's call it redacted, doesn't just resonate with XM, it seems to command it. The portals it touches don't simply react, they change. They unlock a new state as though the artifact awakens something buried deep within the XM fields, something that seeks dormant and sets them aflame. I don't know for what purpose. I've seen glyph sequences reference such phenomena before, symbols of chaos, cycles, beginnings that demand an end. I can feel it in this artifact. It doesn't just exist, it wants. Speculation on dual nature. Every legend I've followed, every glyph I've studied has spoken of balance, order and chaos, creation and destruction. If this artifact is what I suspect, then it's only half something larger, a pair. Machina, as the lab rat's calling it, thrives on ending conflict. Its very presence demands balance, but no force exists without its counter. If this artifact incites resolution, then its counterpart must bring chaos. The glyphs etched into the stories of this artifact mirror what I've seen in relics across the world. Mesopotamian carvings, Mesoamerican talismans, they all tell of paired forces, dual relics bound together in purpose. One stirs the storm, the other calms it. Machina is not complete, it's only half the story. If I can find the other half, maybe I can close the loop it keeps trying to start. Observations on anomaly behaviour. Machina's actions are not random. The way it takes hold of neutral portals is calculated, like it's following a ritual encoded in the very essence of XM. Its behaviour reminds me of an ancient chant, the kind you'd find painstakingly carved into the walls of a temple. Redacted exhibits an intriguing, repeating glyph pattern on its surface. This isn't modern programming, it's older, deeper, like the whispers of force we were never meant to control. Machina cycles endlessly, awaiting conflict, waiting for something it cannot achieve alone, and without its counterpart I don't think it ever will. Historical context and possible counterpart. Every culture that interacts with XM seems to have known this truth. Balance is a theme that repeats itself across the ages. Duality, harmony through opposition. I've seen glyph sequences that pair creation with destruction, light with shadow, chaos with peace. This artifact, Machina, is no different. It demands its counterpart, a second artifact that would balance its endless cycles. I found fragments of glyphs from the oldest portals suggesting this counterpart doesn't just exist, it holds the key to ending Machina's relentless drive. Alone, this artifact creates a cascade of decay. But together these paired forces could, well, I don't know what would happen, but I expect the knowledge would rewrite how we understand XM itself. There's then a glyph sequence for Stability Seeks Chaos. Notification of Dr. Maha Corvus. Dr. Maha Corvus reached out to me earlier today. Said there have been disturbances at Redacted Medical Center Hospital, anomalies in the portal network, strange XM fluctuations. I can't ignore the timing, it's too perfect, too aligned with everything I've been uncovering. She didn't provide many details. From what she described, it feels like Machina's influence. High resonance portals, instability radiating outwards. How's this happening out in the broader portal network? The artifact's power doesn't stay quiet for long, it seems. The path forward. I can't shake the feeling that whatever's happening at the hospital is connected. I'm heading to the hospital. If the artifact's influence has reached that far, it might be more than a disturbance. Whether it's leading us towards answers or warning us of something worse, I need to see it for myself. Moving right into Cryptic 07, this is from the Nemosine Corporation. I don't know, Nemosine is up in the upper right. It says, proposal for XM-aided cognitive revolution. Recipients respective donors. Subject, urgent proposal, global renaissance through XM advancement. Dear fellows, humanity stands at the precipice of a new age. Our work with XM has opened doors not only to dimensional insights, but to the possibility of bridging human minds and experiences. The potential of XM extends far beyond mere theoretical applications, holds the key to revolutionizing medicine and human cognition. My team and I have made significant advancements in developing XM-augmented therapies aimed at countering neurodegenerative diseases. Conditions once thought irreversible, diseases that have harmed so many lives and families, could be mitigated, perhaps even halted, through XM's capacity to bridge connections and enhance cognitive resilience. I won't pretend this journey is going to be easy. There have been disruptions, disturbances and portal activity that seem to respond to as of yet unexplained circumstances, almost as if XM itself is evolving. The arrival of a patient at the Redacted Medical Center, where most of my primary research is conducted, for instance, had been accompanied by unprecedented portal anomalies. Even these disruptions, though, represent profound opportunity. I believe we're witnessing XM's malleability, its potential to adapt and respond in ways we are only just beginning to understand. Such properties could propel my research forward, yielding breakthroughs that traditional science will only dream of. I'm aware that some members of the committee question the merit of this work because of my affiliation with the Enlightened faction. I ask you to set aside factional divides and focus on the essence of what we stand to achieve here. This humanitarian endeavour, an endeavour that transcends faction philosophy. XM's potential to heal, to restore, to transform is a resource for all humanity. If we allow our biases to dictate access to research funding, we risk abandoning a revolutionary cure out of fear or mistrust. Factions are irrelevant in the face of unprecedented human achievement, and those who do not see it that way are merely obstacles to progress. I'm asking for the committee's unbiased support for the sake of lives that could be saved, minds that could be restored, a future where the trauma and suffering of neurodegenerative disease and injury could be nothing but historical anecdote. I appeal to you not as an idealist, but as a researcher dedicated to an urgent cause, both burdened and empowered by my personal mission. My work is grounded in science, but my drive to understand XM on a deeper level goes beyond data points. I've seen the suffering caused by neurodegenerative diseases up close, as a daughter who lost her father bit by bit until only a shell remained, absent the memories and identity that made him. I chose this path because I refuse to accept that this is inevitable. XM may offer us an answer, a chance to fight back against the forces that diminish this human life. This project is more than a single researcher's vision. World-renowned XM researcher Hank Johnson has endorsed my work. Hank has also been extremely generous with his time and expertise, and many of the discoveries so far can be attributed to his insights. In addition, the world's leading faction-agnostic XM research lab, the Institution of Quantum Technology in Japan, founded by Redacted, specifically highlighting my work in their last annual report, saying that my work is likely to be profoundly consequential in the future. In closing, I must emphasize this research is not just an opportunity, it's a necessity. We're at a crossroads. The anomalies we are witnessing and the breakthroughs within reach demand swift action and unwavering commitment. We can either seize this moment to advance humanity, or be remembered as those who hesitated when history was ours to shape. Those who understand XM's transformative potential will lead the next era. Those who do not will be consigned to irrelevance. Fortune has always favoured the bold. Join me and let us carve a future where XM heals, empowers, and allows humanity to transcend the boundaries we once thought unbreakable. The path is clear. We need only the courage to walk it. Respectfully, Redacted. And then on to our final piece of Cryptic Memories media. So this is Cryptic 08. Recording begins. Surveillance device active. Timestamp 1745. Voices Makoto Midorikawa, Hank Johnson, and Agent Takumi. Hank, the anomalies brought me here, Makoto, but I didn't expect to find Devra. This changes everything. Something is very wrong. Makoto, Devra Bogdanovich. She died, I thought. I thought you said you were there when she passed away. Hank, that's right, I was there, and yet the one in the next room, that's her. I know it's her. Alive. Unconscious but alive. I can't explain it. Not yet, anyway. Takumi, I don't understand. Are you telling me that woman in the room is the same Dr. Devra Bogdanovich, the XM researcher who died 7 years ago? Can you confirm the identity? Hank, the same but not the same? I just don't know yet. I want her to wake up. I want to talk to her. What I'd give to talk to Devra again, even just for a minute. Makoto, there was another woman. I saw her when I looked through this watch. Her name is Akira. She ran off without a trace, and now, Takumi, you saw it too. The red portal anomalies. They all started the moment the two of them, I don't know how to describe it, arrived. If Devra's here in the hospital and there's an anomaly near her, then maybe the one named Akira is the source of the anomalies out there. Takumi, that makes sense. The red portals, I saw them spreading in the field, and now I'm seeing an identical phenomenon here at the hospital. If your theory is right, she's still creating these disturbances. We might be able to use the anomalies to follow her. Makoto, Hank, we need to figure out what's going on here. Hank, I can't leave here. I can't leave this woman. I don't know if she is Devra, but I can't leave her. Makoto, Hank, the doctor said that they don't know what's wrong with her. I know you miss her, the Devra you knew, but maybe the best way to help this woman is to find out what's really going on. Hank, this phenomenon with the portals, Makoto, I've seen this before. Tell me what you saw when you looked at the watch, Makoto. Makoto, my ability lets me see into the past, memories through the lens of an object. But what I saw, Hank, those memories don't make sense. I was being pulled in two directions, like the memories were torn apart in the middle. And these two women, Akira and Devra, they were on both sides of that tear. Hank, it's possible that this Devra and this Akira represent some kind of break in reality. Makoto, a break in reality is the only way I could describe it. Hank, the phenomenon you're seeing with the portals, I've seen it before. It's connected to an artifact that was being studied. There's an artifact, it unlocks this kind of behaviour in XM. I've seen this pattern before in glyph sequences carved into ancient relics. They speak of forces bound together, creation and destruction, order and chaos. Machina is one of those forces, but it's incomplete. If Akira's actions have awakened its counterpart... Takumi, you're saying there's something else out there? Another artifact? Hank, maybe, or maybe Akira's actions triggered a cycle that's been dormant for centuries. Either way, these anomalies aren't just coincidences, they're part of a larger system, one we don't fully understand. Makoto, then let's find her. If she's left a trail of anomalies, we can use it to track her movements. Hank, agreed. But if this is what I think it is, we're dealing with forces that don't care about factions or our understanding of XM. This is bigger than us, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. Takumi, if that's true, then someone needs to stay here. Devra's presence, the anomalies around the hostel. This is ground zero. I'll report everything back to the resistance. If there's a way to stabilize this, I'll find it. Makoto, stay sharp, Takumi, and if you pick up any trace of Kira, don't hesitate to follow her. Hank, let's move, Makoto. Time isn't on our side. Recording ends. I'm just going to take a minute to pause here between all of these, because there are 2 buried memories media drops we've had as well that contain some more lore. If you've watched any of the Ingress animation, you'll recognise Makoto from that, and that one of the first portals he goes to is near a hospital. So I'm curious how this is playing into the Ingress animation, and obviously we got all the character badges during the memory seasons of those characters. I'm also curious about the Machina counterpart that seems to exist, and whether that's something that we've unlocked during the memory series. I know the Enlightened won all of those, so whether something happens for the Enlightened or whether something happens overall to the game from this. I have no idea why we didn't get this lore drops before. I suspect it may have been because the scope lead discussions were going on and they were told to hold off on progressing anything lore-wise. So now we're getting them all at once. It was pointed out in a chat, I don't remember who said it now. If it was you, let me know and I can credit you. But if we are getting 8 media drops for each of the memories anomalies, then the last media drop for erased memories would appear in Ingress on April the 19th. And that's when we start the plus Theta global op. So maybe it'll lead to something then, or depending on who wins the global op, something will happen. But yeah, it's good to have all of this. It would be nice if it dropped during the events, but I guess we're getting it all now. So I'll just finish up with the Buried 01 and Buried 02 next, and then we'll get into some regular Ingress news. Before I start going through the Buried 01 media, you'll remember that the Buried Memories badges and things were pyramids. So that may be something that's important going forward on here, looking at the rest of it. So this is Hank Johnson's research journal, Subject Objectives in Egypt. There's a paperclip with a photo of the pyramids on there, and there's also a handwritten note covering some typed text. The handwritten section starts off August 23rd. I spent the last few years with the Asmati, an extraordinary tribe whose understanding of XM is deeper than anything I've encountered. They are not just students of the unseen forces that govern our reality. They are its stewards. For millennia, they have been guardians of knowledge and a delicate interplay of chaos and order. To the Asmati, balance is not an ideal to be sought. Instead, it's a result of action meeting resistance, choices colliding with opposition, creating a natural equilibrium. Their greatest charge was an artifact I can only describe as a shard of pure black cold. Encoded with glyphs, the artifact represents order and death, a force that halts chaos, freezing it into permanence. But the Asmati warn is no gift. The stability it brings comes at a cost. The stifling of creativity, renewal, and growth. From elder to elder, a single instruction has been passed forward. Ensure this artifact remains ever dormant. The glyph sequences tied to this artifact originate in ancient Egyptian sites, where Maat, the goddess of cosmic balance, was worshipped. The Asmati believe these glyphs are warnings. Order without chaos is stagnation, existence without motion. For centuries, they safeguarded the artifact, ensuring the stability was Thia, ensuring its stabilizing power was never unleashed. But even the most vigilant guardians are not immune to the forces they protect against. Years before I arrived, the artifact was stolen. Mercenaries, Asmati elders believing they were agents of IQ Tech, breached their sacred vault. When I first learned of this during my time with them, I saw the weight of their failure reflected in their eyes. They spoke of the theft not only as a breach of security, but as a ripple of imbalance that could extend across reality itself. They feared what might happen if the artifact were misused, feared its power to tip existence into lifeless order. So that's the end of the handwritten note, and then there's further bits below. I'll go through now. Makoto and I arrived in Egypt a week ago. We followed a trail of XM anomalies to a secure site not far from the shore, where reports of unusual reportable activity have intensified. The Asmati I once knew are now fewer now. Time has eroded their numbers and their sense of purpose has faded. Still, they've agreed to help us. Their voices tremble when they speak of the artifact's return to this land, as if they fear its presence more than its absence. Makoto has identified the signal source, an IQ tech facility concealed beneath the ruins of an ancient military installation. There, the artifact has been subjected to experiments to amplify its resonance, using the architecture of the pyramids as a kind of antenna. The Asmati spoke of a woman who might help us infiltrate the lab. She came to them not long ago, drawn by the anomalies. They describe her as an embodiment of the artifact's power, a woman whose presence feels both familiar and foreign. If the Asmati can guide us, if we can secure this woman's help, we may yet recover the artifact and halt these anomalies. But I cannot shake the weight of failure from my years with the Asmati. Their philosophy taught me that balance is not achieved, it is fought for. It is born of the struggle between choices and consequences. I can only hope I make the right choices now. Then finally, at least for now, as I'm recording on the 28th of March, is Buried 02. This also comes from the Nemesign, starting with an M, company, foundation, whatever they are. And the subject is XM influence on cognitive rehabilitation, from a familiar name now, Dr. Maha Corvus. I remember one morning near the end, my father sat at the table staring at his hands as if they held a secret he couldn't quite grasp. When I spoke to him, his eyes met mine, sharp and clear for just a moment. He said, "I figured it out." The hope in his voice stopped me cold. I didn't know what to say. Before I could even respond, the fog swallowed him again and his eyes became distant. That moment haunted me. It wasn't the absence that hurt the most. It was a fleeting moment I had him with me again, and then gone. To this day, I wonder what answers he had found and was holding inches away from his face. I miss him. Today, Devra Bogdanovich's mind reminds me of that moment. She lies here, breathing but unreachable, her thoughts locked behind a wall I cannot see, let alone breach. But I refuse to accept that as the end. Where the doctors told me my father was lost and their efforts were at an end, I see Devra as a beginning, a puzzle waiting to be solved. I've introduced carefully calibrated XM pulses to her neural pathways, drawing from the resonance patterns observed in portals affected by the Machina phenomenon. These patterns are unlike anything I've seen before. They hint at XM's potential to unlock what nature cannot, reassembling neural pathways, perhaps even reawakening consciousness. The results are fascinating. Her brainwave activity shows irregular bursts of structures if chaos briefly gives way to clarity. These aren't random, they reflect a pattern, a structure I believe we can guide. Imagine what this could mean, a tool to mend what time and nature break, a way to restore memory, identity, even life itself. I understand some would call this reckless, but to do nothing would be the real cruelty. We have a duty to push forward, discover. If XM holds this potential, how can we turn it away? Hank messaged me this morning. He mentioned he's chasing something important, though he wouldn't say much more. I encouraged him to continue, to let himself see the broader picture. He's a kind man, driven by a strong moral compass. If we're truly going to harness XM, we need minds like his, capable of seeing its limitless potential. Chaos and order, two sides of the same coin. This is more about than just stopping anomalies. It's about reshaping what is possible. My research takes me to unexpected places. Patterns in XM anomalies suggest deeper connections, systems of balance that we now only begin to glimpse. Artifacts like the one Hank's pursuing may hold the key to understanding these systems, their chaos and order. If my work with Devra has taught me anything, it's XM doesn't just reveal, it reshapes, and that reshaping could mean the difference between life and death. Devra moved today. Just a hand, for a moment. It was small, but it was enough. Enough to remind me the answers are closer than we think. So that's a whole lot of lore that we've been getting in the past few days. Just make sure you hack a portal every day and you'll receive the latest piece of lore. I just want to remind what was said about the Cryptic and Buried Memories series. So at the finale of the Erased Memories series, we've got a little info box here. So they mentioned that in a cryptic universe, a driven dynamic scientist discovered a way to achieve her destiny. She will ensure the future of her world is enlightened. And then obviously we've had Devra and Akira showing up here in another reality where Makoto from the anime exists alongside Hank, who's also in the anime. I don't know what's going on there with that. And then obviously we're talking now about the Buried Memories series, the Asmati, who feature in that as well, and a new artifact that's there that they had buried that they seem to have lost. And the lore bit for that on the Erased Memories series mentions an artifact buried deep by an ancient clan of enlightened mystics will play a vital role. So that probably hints towards what's coming up next. And then possibly to hint what's after that for shared memories, we've got Memories shared across dimensions unite a group that stands to understand or perhaps oppose her plan. So if we're assuming that we're talking about either Devril or Akira in here, then there'll be a group that rises up to say no to whatever they're doing. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when we do get all these lore drops. I'll cover whatever we've got in between next time, and then go through that and give my thoughts in more detail. If you've got any thoughts on what you think will happen with this, or whether you think nothing will change because it's already changed, because these are past anomalies, then do let me know. But for now, I'm going to move into some regular Ingress news.
Hey, this is Sim, Global Product Marketing Lead for Paradox, and you're listening to Ingress Insights.
We'll start with the bad news so we don't end on a somber note like last time. The website SFGate has published an article about further layoffs at Niantic. So they wrote that earlier this month, San Francisco tech company sold off its hit Pokemon Go and a few other video game titles in a $3.85 billion mega deal. Now, dozens of local workers are losing their jobs. When the March 12th deal was announced, Niantic said it was split into two parts. The game science workers were gobbled up by Scopely, owned by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. The rest is spinning off as a new geospatial company called Niantic Spatial. According to a WARN document from Thursday, 68 workers who worked at Niantic's ferry building headquarters are set to be left on the cutting room floor. Niantic filed the warn with state officials as generally required in the event of mass layoffs. It said the employees will leave the company in waves on May 20th and June 15th. Per the document, the cuts include a chief technology officer, a chief financial officer, a vice president, various directors, a general counsel, and about a dozen software engineers. The focus on geospatial tech is nothing new for Niantic. Pokemon Go, Pikmin Blue, and Monster Hunter Now all swapping the Scopely ownership in the deal. Each use augmented reality, where players can see characters from the game overlaid on the real-world scans captured by their phone cameras. Niantic has used some of these scans to train artificial intelligence models to understand physical spaces. Niantic's spatial site touts its tech for use for warehouses, remote collaboration, and making the world intelligible for machines, for everything from smart glass to humanoid robots. Niantic spokesperson Johnny Thor did not respond to SFGate's questions about whether Niantic Spatial will retain access to Pokemon Go user data, or whether the company will be laying off additional workers outside San Francisco. Next up, we have had an update to the app, Ingress Prime, so we're now on version 2.163.1. There's only one line of update notes on there, so it says upgraded our game engine for bug fixes and performance improvements, and that rolled out on the 28th of March in the App Store and Play Stores. So if you've not got that yet, you can update the app. It's still the purple logo that we've had for a little while. There's no new logo yet for Plus Data. I don't know if we'll get one. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But do visit the App Stores and update your app. One of the layoffs that we've had and we're aware of, that I covered in the previous episode, is the previous community specialist and operations manager for Ingress, Niantic Thia. So the community have come together and organised a toast to Thia. It says, in celebration of the work and dedication of Niantic community manager Thia, who's recently laid off due to Niantic restructuring, agents from both factions are coming together to honour a contribution to the Ingress community. On April 1st, join us for a day-long celebration by deploying a toast beacon in your area. We invite you to share a picture of your scanner or any special memories you've had using the hashtag IngressToast. Whether it's a moment of inspiration at an event you attended or simply a token of gratitude, let's flood the feed with love and appreciation. And they put hashtag IngressToast, hashtag ThanksThia. And I've seen that across Resistance, XFAC, Enlightened, all kinds of Ingress chats. So do that if you can. If you don't have a toast beacon, because I know they cost, you can optionally gift yourself a peace beacon by using planet capsules, so do that before April 1st. You've still got a beacon that you can share and join in. And then finally for Ingress news, because this is the last podcast of March, I thought I'd look ahead to what's up for April. So on the 5th of April, we've got First Saturday for the month. You can register there through Fev Games, see what events are on in your area. So good opportunity to meet with other agents and have fun whilst doing it, and get a tick on your First Saturday badge. The 13th of April brings us Second Sunday, which I'll cover in a bit more detail as we get close to that again. But you can complete that in a variety of ways from 12 AM to 11:59 PM local time. For myself, I complete this normally by doing scans and getting a Scout controller, but I upgraded recently to a new phone, so I had to upload all my scans on the old phone before I changed my device. So I've not yet got the amount of scans. I'm hoping to get them at some point, either this weekend, next weekend, and have those ready and stacked up. The 19th of April to the 11th of May, so stretching across the 2 months there, is the Plus Theta Global campaign. We don't have further details on that yet, we just need to stay prepared for new directives. And then finally, rounding out April on the 22nd, we get an Earth Day bonus, where that involves a badge, tasks, anything like that we don't know yet. Again, we're just told to stay prepared for new directives. So that's what's coming up in April. It's a bit of a short month, but we do have the global campaign that will be going on for quite a while in it. And then we have the XM anomalies and skirmishes coming up in May and June to look forward to on there. So now I'm just going to move into some little bits of Wayfarer news, and then we'll get to wrapping things up.
What's up? This is Smooth Guy O, and you listen to the Ingress Insight podcast.
I mentioned this in a previous episode, but of course with Wayfarer being sold to Scopely, I'm not sure what the future relationship with Wayfarer and Ingress is, and whether I'll keep doing this section or whether I'll replace it again with doing the feature thing that I did previously. But I thought what I had before of Anomaly News, Ingress News, Wayfarer News worked pretty well for me as a structure, but if I have to change it, I have to change it. So just to let you know, it may change in future. So there's a few minor things that changed this week with Wayfarer. So if you log into the Wayfarer site, you'll see there's now a submit button on the side of it, and it shows you what makes a good way spot. The same mention of criteria, and there's a button to tap on that says submit a way spot in Pokemon Go, or a QR code to scan if you're on desktop. And once you either tap that or scan the code, it will open the Pokemon Go app and take you straight to where you nominate a new Pokestop, new way spot on there. There's not yet a button to do the same thing in Ingress, but some people have found a link that basically does the same thing. So maybe it's coming in future, but then again, I said, as with the Scopely sale, maybe it's not, we don't know. So at the minute, there's just one there for Pokemon Go. Hopefully the Ingress one gets added, and then it's clearer to people. It's a bit of a weird one because you're already on the Wayfarer site, you've already got to the right level. But it is a question that's asked from time to time on the Wayfarer community forum, so maybe someone thought it was a quick fix to do and add in that way. Then there's been a small text update, so the rejection reasons have been reworded on the Wayfarer site. So for example, if it was no consensus rejection, it now says this submission matched multiple rejection criteria without reaching consensus by the community on the main rejection reason. And a few of the ones have changed slightly as well to make it a bit clearer. So where it said generic business, people have said that's now changed to the submission lacks uniqueness or historical and cultural meaning. Whether that's been Niantic pushing that change or Scopely has said, I have no idea, but it's now been updated. So if you go back and check your previous rejections, it should now be a bit clearer as to why they were rejected. And you can at least then include that in your appeal and say this shouldn't have been rejected because of X, Y, Z. I'm also conscious we're a couple of days away from wrapping up Q1 and we don't yet have a Q1 Wayfarer challenge. Obviously, it may have been delayed with all the Scopely stuff and mixing that around, seeing what happens there. But I'd hope we do get one shortly. And I hope that you can still participate in if you play Ingress, because we had obviously the Indonesia and Chile challenge, where agents couldn't participate, and I mentioned before how much I get annoyed by those challenges. That's it for Wayfarer news and other news, so I'll move in now and get things wrapped up.
Hi, this is HP Bulola, and you're listening to the Ingress Insights podcast.
Thank you, agents, for listening to this week's episode and listen to me go through all the cryptic and buried memories lore drops. Next week, I'll actually be taking a weekend off, so I won't be having a regular episode with news in, but I'll be having a special episode that I've already recorded that'll have details in about certain events affecting Ingress. Following that, I'll go through any lore updates and details we've had for plus Theta on the episode that will be coming out on the 13th of April. So hopefully by then we'll have had some details, because we'll have already had we'll be near to starting the plus Theta campaign. So hopefully we'll have a few more details on how the anomaly works, what will be happening in there, and obviously any details on lore that we're getting for plus Theta. So hope you look forward to that. I'm still also editing Erin's interview. I've had less time to do that than I hoped, but once I've got that done, I'll send it out for her approval. I do have another interview I completed that I've sent off for approval, so hopefully I can post that in the coming weeks. That's all I've really got for this week, so hope you have fun, agents, happy hacking, and have a great day. Thank you, agents, for listening to the latest episode of the Ingress Insights podcast. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can do that on a few channels. So on Threads under the name ingress.insights, on Instagram under the name ingress.insights as well. Twitter/X, which posts episodes of the podcast, is under Ingress Insights, no dot in that one. And you can also watch these episodes on YouTube under Ingress Insights Podcast. You can send us a voice message by visiting the podcaster's Spotify page. And finally, you can buy Ingress Insights merch, such as mugs, pins, t-shirts, by going to freepublic.com/user/ingress-insights. And on there, you'll see all the designs that we've got listed at the moment. There are some new ones that will be coming up at some point soon, but you can buy your Ingress Insights mug, hats, t-shirts, tote bags, anything like that you want. Thank you again for listening. Hope you tune in next week. If you do like the show, please do rate it on the podcast service you're listening to. I look forward to speaking with you all about Ingress again.
Intel package transferred.